Hi everyone, I'm Sandy Schwartz. This is my daughter Melissa.
Hello.
This is our dog Buddha. And we're with you today because we want to talk to you about a topic that is really important to parents, and it's a little confusing to parents. And so we're hoping that we can give you some clarity and some understanding. And the topic is about lying. And many parents have asked me, what do I do when my child lies? What's the best way to deal with it? And parents from young kids, 3, 4, 5-year-old, all the way up to teenagers are experiencing this phenomenon that we label as lying. And so today Melissa is going to help me talk with you about why kids lie, and also what you can do when your children lie so that you handle it in a way that you really get the results you want. And the results that most parents are looking for is to raise emotionally healthy human beings who can go out into the world and deal with life in an effective way. And so we want to deal with our children's lying in a way where it's not just about guilt and shame and fear, which works a lot, but it isn't always the most emotionally healthy way to help children through the challenges of life. So I think the first thing that I'd like to talk about is, so why do children lie? And I want to backtrack and say that pretty much I believe everybody lies. Now that may be shocking to you to hear me say that. I do believe it. I believe that adults lie, even good people lie. People who want to live in integrity lie. Sometimes we're not even aware that we're lying because we lie to ourselves. And one of the lies we tell ourselves is that we're not lying. And yet, if we really get still and mindful and conscious and watch ourselves lovingly without judging ourselves, we'll start to notice that we do lie. And so why do adults lie? I want to begin with that, because once we understand why grown-ups lie, we'll be able to translate that into why adults lie. And so Melissa and I have been having conversations about this. Okay, so why do people lie? And I told Melissa, just interrupt me, just jump in there. If I say something and it sparks an idea for her. So why do we lie? First of all, let's take a look at, there's a continuum of lying. There are the white lies, on the gentle part of the continuum. We tell white lies because we don't want to hurt people's feelings. We tell white lies because we want people to like us. We tell white lies because we don't want to shake things up. We tell white lies because we want to stay safe.
Sometimes it's easier to tell a white lie than to have to tell the truth.
Yeah, so an example of a grown-up white lie would be somebody says to you, how do you like me in this outfit? And you say, it looks really nice. But inside you're thinking, I don't think so. And so why do you not say, I don't think so? Because you don't want to hurt your friends' feelings, or you don't want them angry with you. You just don't want to deal with the fallout of telling the truth. So you kind of skirt around the issue and you say it's fine. So that's one of those, gentle kind of white lies, but they're still labeled as a lie.
And I think it's important that people realize that you're not bad because you tell a white lie. It doesn't make you an awful person or somebody who doesn't live in integrity. It is part of being human, and it's something that everybody's done. Politicians lie.
I think they're out of integrity when they lie, but that comes with what they do.
But it's something that everybody's done at some point in their life, and it doesn't make you a bad person, and it doesn't mean that you're doomed to be judged forever. And I think when it comes to little children especially, there's a reason for it, and so we're going to try and unravel some of that.
So before we go there, I just want to take the continuum all the way to the really, really bad kind of lying, which is when you do something awful, okay? And you do something really mean to another person, or you really hurt somebody, or you hurt property, or you do something where you're going to cause real problems, and you out and out say, I didn't do it, and you don't take responsibility for yourself. Now, that also, why do people lie? Because they don't want to get in trouble, and they don't want to face the consequences of their behavior. And I think that the reason parents have such big reactions to their children lying is because they're afraid they'll go all the way to that end, of the continuum, and they'll think they can get away with lying, and then therefore they'll start lying about really big bad things. So, of course, we don't want children to believe that those kind of lies are okay, or that they can get away with it, or that it's even something they should think about doing. And yet, what happens often is parents actually, without knowing it, teach their kids to lie like that in order to stay safe. And if they get away with a good lie, well, then the lies can get even bigger. And if they get punished for lying, often they'll go underground and they'll become better liars. And so we want to really be careful that when we are faced knowing that our kids have lied, that we deal with it in a way that is going to turn it around where children really want to turn it around, not where they're pretending they're turning it around to please you, and yet they're actually getting better at playing the game of lying.
I just want to jump in and say that I think it's very easy when you catch your child in a lie to get really angry and want them to tell you the truth, but we lose sight of what the goal is, which is to have an open, honest relationship with our children where they feel safe talking to us. And so if in the moment of feeling reactive to your children lying, you can recognize that there's a bigger picture going on, that what you really want is to be close to your child, for them to feel safe talking to you, then you might be able to take a pause and respond to it in a different way rather than just, you lied to me, that's not okay, because that's not going to yield the result that you really want, which is for your child to feel safe with you.
You know, in my book, Authentic Parenting Power, I mentioned several times that the ultimate goal of bringing up children is to raise kids who can handle life, the challenges of life, in an emotionally healthy way. And a secondary goal, which is equally as important, is that you're constantly building a relationship of trust between your children and you. And you really want that, because once they become teenagers, they will hide everything. If they have already learned the first 11 or 12 years of life that you're going to have huge reactions, they don't want to deal with those huge reactions, that you can't handle the truth. You know, even though as parents we use these words, you can tell me anything, sweetheart. There's nothing that would stop me from loving you. And yet our behavior tells them something different. And so we want to really be, and it's not easy, but we want to always be aware, so watch ourselves, to be, to soothe ourselves, so that when we do have to deal with a challenge like lying, that we don't go into it from an hysterical point of view, which I sometimes did as a parent, that we don't want to go into it from this fear-based, hysterical point of view, you know, threatening them and telling them that the world's going to come to an end because they lied. One, because it's not emotionally healthy. It doesn't teach them how to deal with their challenges. And also because we are then putting up a wall of separation. It's an invisible wall, but it's a wall of mistrust between parent and child. So, let's just recap. Why do grown-ups lie? To not hurt somebody else's feelings, to not make somebody angry with us, to protect somebody from being upset, to keep ourselves safe, maybe for another goal that we feel that omission is lying. If we leave something out, then, you know, we can make things work the way we want. There are legitimate needs behind lying. And what all of us are really aching to do is to live in truth, live in authentic truth of who we are, and still be loved, and still know that the people we live with can handle the truth, and that we can do it in a gentle way so that all of us can be okay with it. If we don't model that for our children, they're never going to learn how to do that. And what most of us do is we forget that we're modeling what our kids are really learning. It's not our words that are teaching them. It's what they're watching us live every day. And here's the thing. Kids watch us lie. And as they get older, they start to realize that we haven't been so honest. We haven't been so honest with them. So what are the kind of things we lie to kids about? Because I think we need to be honest with ourselves that, first of all, we're modeling lying. And that, again, I'm not saying we have to be perfect, but I think we have to be honest first with ourselves, and then as our kids get older, be honest with our children that we did kind of tell a half truth, or we did lie by omission, or we did concoct a story that wasn't totally true and expected that they were gonna, buy it from us. So maybe you could take a moment, just take a deep breath, and wonder, do you ever lie to your children? Do you ever lie to yourself? Why do we do that? I know for myself, I sometimes lie to myself because I don't want to look at the truth of things. I might say that doesn't really bother me, but it does bother me. And I just don't know what to do, with my feelings. So I say, it's okay, it doesn't really bother me. No, it does bother me. And that's one way that I lie to myself. And what I've learned is it's important for me to be honest with myself first and say, that does bother me. Now what am I going to do with it? To soothe myself or to change things.
One of the things that occurs to me as you're saying that is we often tell parents that when a child is misbehaving, there's something going on inside of them that isn't working. And I just want to say, lying is just a form of misbehavior. And it seems like we as a society have agreed that lying is a form of misbehavior that is unacceptable. But if you can look past the lying as being an awful thing, then you can look at what's really going on inside of your child and look at why they're lying. And then you can get to the cause of it and solve it. But if you just look at the lie as, you won't lie to me, that's not okay, it's not really going to yield the result that you want. So when we do a little bit of investigating, like my mom just said, and kind of wonder what's going on and wonder why the child is lying, then we can get to the root of it and solve it. And your child will stop lying, but not to please you, but because they don't have to lie to deal with what's going on inside of them.
And if we don't start with ourselves, it's really hard to know how to do it for our children. Parents always want to know how to handle something. And I always say to them, if we don't practice it on ourselves first, it's really hard to be authentic.
Yes.
Be authentically helpful to our child. And that's why I think we want to start just with ourselves, which is a hard place to go. We always want to fix up our kids, but we don't want to fix up ourselves because it's hard, it's hard to look at. So I would say to begin just by wondering and looking at yourself and asking, so when do I lie? What's going on inside of me that I do it? I'm not bad. I don't have to punish myself. I just have to wonder about it and think, if I didn't lie, what would I want to fix? What would I want to examine? What would I want to look at? Because that's what you want to help the children do. Instead of lying, there's something else that they really want, to look at. So we lie to our children in little ways that we have, no consciousness of. Like, we may say to them, like, I'll be off the phone in a minute. And we know we're not going to be off the phone in a minute. There's no way this conversation is going to take a minute. But we'll say something like that.
I have one.
Yeah.
Sometimes you say, Mommy, why are you in such a bad mood? And the mommy will say, I'm not in a bad mood. I'm fine. Or sometimes children feel tension in the house, especially young children. Maybe mom and dad are arguing. Maybe mom and dad are divorced. Maybe there's a single parent. And that parent is really feeling a lot of stress and tension because of the nature of life, which is legitimate and valid. And instead of articulating to the child, I'm having a hard moment, they say, I'm fine. That's that kind of lie that the child can feel that it's not a truth.
Yes. And so, I worked with a mom once who had a little one who kept saying, Mommy, you happy, Mommy? You a happy, Mommy? Because the children were reading Mommy's energy and reading Mommy's facial expressions and body language. And children are always checking in to see if they're safe, if life is safe. Is Mommy happy? Is Daddy okay? So it's okay to say, I'm not happy right now. I'm feeling really sad. Otherwise, we actually are modeling lying to our children. Something else came up when I was thinking about this. Sometimes we lie without even realizing it's a lie.
Yes.
Like if we're in the store and the child says, can I buy that? We say, no, we don't have money for that today. When the reality is, you do have money for it. You're just making the choice not to buy it, which is not a bad thing. But children sense that we're not always honest with them. And it's much more honest to say, well, we have money, But that's not the way we're going to use our money today. Okay, so today we're going to use our money for groceries, or we're going to use our money to go on a trip. And so we have money, but we're just, I've decided I don't want to spend it on a toy, and that might make you feel sad. And it's okay for you to be sad. It's even okay for you to be angry. And then you're teaching the child what real life is about. Yeah. Not we don't have money. They know you have money. They see you go to the bank. They see you take money out. They see there's money in your wallet. They see you pull things off the shelf. And the one thing you don't have money for is the one thing that they want. And they don't know how to figure that stuff out. They don't know what to do with it. And so we're better off telling them the truth.
I just want to jump in and say, instead of lying in that moment, if you can do the challenging thing, which is to explain, like my mom just said, what you're actually modeling for your child is self-soothing, is learning how to deal with disappointment. And that is how you teach your child not to lie. You teach them how to speak a challenging truth, even though it might not be so well received. And it's not, I'm not saying it like it's easy, but if what we really want is for our children, and if you're a teacher, you don't want your children to lie in class, you have to model it for them and teach them that even though it's hard, they can do it.
I think what I'm hearing Melissa say, the way I'm interpreting it, is being a parent is being a teacher. And you don't teach children that they don't need to lie by punishing them. You teach children that they don't need to lie by showing them that there's a way to live in truth.
Yes.
And deal with the challenges of truth. And the reason that's so hard for us is that we, for the most part, didn't have people who taught us how to do that. And so as a parent, you're going to learn how to do this along with your child. And so that idea of the reason you're not buying it is because you don't want to spend the money on that. You could also say to your child, there's a way for you to save up for that, because it's okay to want it. There's nothing wrong in wanting that toy. Let's see if we could figure out a way that you could get it if you really want it. And then in a loving way, talk about, earning points, earning money, or saving towards it, or putting it on your birthday wish list, or Christmas wish list, something like that. That's reality.
I remember when I was little, I have an older brother, for those of you that don't know that, and we used to empty the dishwasher. We had a handful of chores that we did around the house. That's a great way to teach responsibility and help your child earn money. I think back then, I earned $1 a week for doing my chores around the house, something like that. But it's a great way to teach your child to save money, to be responsible, to be helpful around the house, to feel good about getting things that they want. That you don't want to teach your child that everything they want comes to them immediately. They can find a way to soothe themselves while they're waiting for it and earn money towards it. It's actually a really good lesson that brings together a lot of the values that we want to teach them when you show them that they can earn money and save for something rather than just lying and saying we don't have the money for it.
And again, it's all about you teach by what you live and what you present to the child to live. Words and threats really don't teach what you want. It teaches them to go underground with their feelings, and that's not what you want. Now, we just said something that brings up a touchy issue for parents. I want to touch on it because it's my truth, and I have to say it, and I don't want to lie to you. And that is that we outright lie to children. And we giggle about it, we make excuses for it, we think it's cute, and we do it. And that is everything from Santa Claus, which we know is an outright lie, and we lie because we think that Christmas won't be fun without Santa Claus, or I don't know. You have to ask yourself why you lied to the kids about Santa Claus. Same thing with the Tooth Fairy. We lie to the children about the Tooth Fairy, and we lie to the children about a lot of things, out and out lies. And here's what happens. Eventually they discover the truth. They have to. And then they're left with, my parents lied to me. And even though they had a reason for it, which to them was legitimate, how do I know what else they're lying to me about? And by the time children are teenagers, they've discovered several times when you've out and out lied to them and made excuses for it. And then they're confused, well, if my mom lies, if my dad lies, if the people I trust lie, and they have reasons for it, well, then I have reasons why I lie. They watch us lie when we drive the car and we go through the red light, And especially little kids will say, Mommy, you just went through the red light. And we say, it wasn't red, it was yellow. And the little one will say, because they're very into what's right and what's wrong because we're telling them all these things. And the little one says, no, it already turned red. And you say, no, it didn't, it was yellow. And it's kind of like, I'm the parent, I can lie and get away with it. You just be quiet, you know? And so I think Melissa and I made the point that we're all lying. And so what do we want to do about it when our child lies? So the ultimate goal when your child lies is not to make it the worst thing in the world, not to get hugely reactive because you're so afraid they're going to turn into long-term liars with serial record. You know, they're going to kill somebody and then lie about it. Just soothe yourself and say, okay, this is a natural challenge in childhood. What's the best way for me to handle it? What can I say? So what I want to do is I want to begin with young children. Melissa and I were talking about this earlier. She's nannied for many young children. And children start to tell what we call lies about 3, 4 years old. And what's really important for parents to understand is at that time in their lives, the idea of fantasy and magicalness and truth and reality, there's a fine line there that they have not yet negotiated as what's fairy tale, what's fantasy, what's pretend, what's hoping, what's magical, and what's out and out reality. And so sometimes what they wish is true,
Yes.
they'll say is true. Sometimes what if they had a wand they would make true, they say is true. So, you know, if you say to them, did you brush your teeth? They might say, yeah, brush my teeth. Because they wish they had brushed their teeth and it didn't take so long and it didn't taste so minty and it was done. And a parent who's so afraid that if their child lies and gets this huge reaction, now goes into punishment mode and piles on guilt and shame and God is watching you and Santa's watching you and the elf on the shelf is watching you and you know, it's like Big Brother has cameras all around so everybody knows that you told the truth and now you're in huge trouble. You don't have to go there. You don't have to go there. I'm going to tell you some of the things that I think and then Melissa's going to, you know, just chime in whenever you feel comfortable. Okay. I think it's okay to say to a child, you wish you brushed your teeth, didn't you? You wish brushing teeth was something you liked to do. You wished we had a toothpaste that wasn't so minty and didn't make your mouth go and acknowledge your child's truth because that's the part he's afraid to tell you or he doesn't have the vocabulary, the ability
Yes.
to articulate it for you. And so rather than saying, man, I wished I had already brushed, do I really have to brush? Your 3 and 4-year-old can't do that. And so they might just magically, you know, the thing I want to remind you is that they're reading fairy tales all the time.
Yes.
They're going to the movies and they're watching the Disney movies. You know, they're watching snowmen who can sit by the fire because they have a magic cloud over them that keeps them chilly. And they don't know this is just pretend. They go to the movies and they see the movies and they think that's reality. So for them, they have this magic cloud that means, yeah, I brush my teeth.
Yeah. And I also want to say, you know, with small children, I've nannied for 2, 3, 4, 5-year-olds for many years. And you can actually make this thing work with them. They love playing make-believe. They love giving human qualities to inanimate objects. And so when they do it, and we call it lying, we're not doing them a service. We can soften our reaction to the lie and use their stage of development for our own benefit. You know, I worked with a family and we gave some vegetables to the little ones and I said, did you eat the vegetables? Yes. Well, they're sitting on the plate. They didn't eat them. But if now we turn it around and the broccoli starts dancing and it starts talking, well, am I lying that the broccoli is talking to them? Or am I using their stage of development to teach them that the broccoli is delicious and it wants to be eaten? And so we can't have it both ways. We can't accuse them of lying and use their stage of development to actually teach them that life is good and the broccoli is delicious and it helps them grow big and strong. And I also want to say that 3 and 4-year-olds live in a lot of wishful thinking. Like, they wish that they ate all their broccoli, as my mom said. They wish they brushed their teeth. They're not lying to you. They're not malicious. They're not deceiving you. They are just living in what is a natural stage of development for them, which is wishful thinking, imagination. We have to take it not so personally. They're not doing it to trick us. Of course, we know they didn't eat their vegetables. We can see them on the plate, but we don't have to get so angry with them about it. There's another way to get the result that we want, which is to go into their world and meet them where they are.
So what parents usually say to me is, okay, I hear you, I get it. What do I do in the moment?
Right.
I think that's what's tricky for parents. And of course, there's no one right way to do it, which is why I hope that once parents understand it and they loosen up a little bit, they realize that in here you've got a lot of creativity. And if you let it come forward, you might come up with some really, creative answers. So I had a mommy recently who said to me that her little one was in the kitchen having breakfast. Mom laid out some strawberries and a morning granola bar. Mom went into the bathroom to just get herself ready. When she came back, she said to her daughter, "Did you eat breakfast?" And her daughter said, "Yes." And the mother didn't see any indication that the tops of the strawberries were left, but the strawberries were missing. And she said, "Did you eat the strawberries and the granola bar?" And the daughter had the granola bar half eaten. She said, "Yeah, Mommy said, "You ate the strawberries?" And so she's pushing the little girl to lie more and more and more. And, "Yeah, I ate my strawberries." And Mommy says, "But I don't see the tops of the strawberries." And now the little girl's caught in a lie. So now she has to lie even more. And she said, "I ate the tops of the strawberries too." We keep pushing them.
Yeah.
And so perhaps a better way, so you don't keep pushing your child into deeper and deeper despair, and now you've really got a case against them where they're really going to hang in judgment, or they're not going to watch TV for a million years because they had the audacity to lie to you, is to say, something doesn't feel right to me. Something in my inner guidance. Now you start teaching your children about intuition and inner guidance. You say, something doesn't seem right. I'm wondering if you didn't really eat the strawberries and you're afraid I'm going to be mad at you because you didn't eat them. Now you give them an opportunity that there's a safe place. You're safe. And they can tell you the truth.
I just want to jump in and say, you have to be willing to hear your child's truth if you ask that question. You have to be okay if your child says, "You're right, Mommy, I didn't eat the strawberries."
And then come up with a second plan that's not about a lecture, because they're going to protect themselves by
Right.
lying, or, guilt and shame and all that kind of stuff. So what would happen if you said to your child, "Something doesn't seem right to me. I'm just listening to my inner guidance, my inner wisdom, my inner voice says, I don't think you ate those strawberries. And if you didn't, it's okay. I'm not going to be mad at you. You could tell me if you didn't eat them." Because here's where your actions are lining up with the words you say, which is, you could tell me the truth.
Yes.
I won't get mad at you.
Yes.
You have to actually prove it to your child. You can't just say it. So if you create this safe space and you say, "So I don't think you ate the strawberries, and it's okay if you tell me the truth. I won't get mad at you." Now your child's going to test. They're testing out life. They're testing out how safe you are. And if the child says, "I didn't," you could say, "So what'd you do with them?" Now you're respecting their genius and their creativity and their ability to cover up. "Really? So what'd you do with them?" Then maybe the little one will say, "I put them under the towel over there." And now you could say, "Wow, that was pretty creative. Did you think I was never going to see under the towel?" Now you're teaching them that, that lying doesn't usually work, because
Yes.
eventually you get caught. But the child has to live this without being terrified to learn the lesson.
And the lesson that you're teaching the child is not, "You're awful for lying." You're teaching them, when you lie, you're going to get caught and it's not going to serve you. So let's find another way to handle it.
Yeah, so let's deal with the truth now.
Yeah.
Instead of concocting all kinds of stories deeper and deeper. and you not pushing that story deeper and deeper by saying, "Oh, really? I don't see the tops. Don't lie to me. You can't get away with it with me." You're pushing them into the underground more that way. Whereas if you say, "Oh, I'm not too sure, where are they?" Oh, so they're under. You really didn't want the strawberries? Is it that you don't like the way they taste? Is it that there were too many? Your body needs some fruit in order to go out there in the world because of the vitamins. So we have strawberries, we have apples, we have this. Make a choice. You have to eat something.
I just wanted to take it into a grown-up parallel, which is, now I don't know about any of you, but I've been pulled over driving on the highway before. Not for speeding, but I once got pulled over for talking on my cell phone, which was a rarity because I rarely ever talk on my cell phone in the car. Now, when I got pulled over, the policeman said, "Was it an emergency phone call?" And I said, "Yes."
You lied.
I lied. And he said, "And who were you talking to?" And I said, "Well, my friend was having a crisis." He said, "Ma'am, that's not an emergency." Now, I could have lied and said, "Oh, I did. I called 911. It didn't feel good to me to go deeper into the lie. As soon as I got caught, I fessed up. Now, some people would go deeper in the lie and deeper in the lie and go to court and plead their case and feel really justified in lying. The point is, if you're met with, "We all talk on our cell phones sometimes, I understand why you did it. It's still not okay, but I'm not angry with you for it," then I didn't feel so, the need to lie and cover up for myself wasn't so intense.
Imagine, again, if our system worked this way, if the police officer said to you, "Don't talk on your cell phone, it's dangerous,
Yes.
I'm going to let it go now." But if you do this a lot, eventually you're going to get caught, and you're going to have to pay a pretty hefty fine.
And the reason we don't do it is it's not safe, it's distracting, it can cause an accident. Once you have an honest conversation about why the rule is in place, then we're all on an equal playing field. But if it's, "I'm the police officer, and I'm telling you," and I go more and more into my defense, well, now the divide is even bigger. And nobody's feeling heard, and no lesson is really being taught, and there's no wisdom coming out of it. That's not going to keep me from doing it again.
And I think we happen to live in a society where everything is about getting caught and getting punished, and it's not fair. And this is what the kids are starting to see as they get older. We're going to older children now. Older children are watching the way the world works, the way society has been set up. And as children get into the school age, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, they're watching everything. Is it fair? Is it not fair? He gets away with this, she gets away with this, I get caught, this is not fair. Because they're starting to try to figure out if what we tell them really is the truth.
Yes.
And they start to see things on the playground, they see, "I'm honest, he lied, I got caught, he got away with it, doesn't pay to be honest." The children are starting to and they also see it with us. In fact, Melissa was sharing with me about a teenager who heard her parents lying about something, and the teenager said, "I don't know what to trust with my parents," because she overheard them talking about something where they told her one thing, but she caught their conversation, which was something different. And so if we're not living in integrity, and we live in a society which we know is not in integrity, then our children are really confused. And
yeah, I want to just talk about this 16-year-old who is the older sibling of a younger child that I was nannying for, and she felt safe talking to me about this because, first of all, I didn't have an emotional attachment to her in the way that her parents do, and so I could handle her truths even if they were hard for me. And one of the things that she told me was because her parents lied, she didn't feel safe talking to them. She didn't feel that she could share her truth with them. And so she had to lie in order to protect herself. And it set up a really unhealthy paradigm for them where she felt she couldn't share her truth because they wouldn't hear it and validate it. And they didn't share their truth with her because they didn't think she could hear it. And so nobody really felt good in that family. And so that goes back to, what is the result that you really want? Is it you don't want your children to lie because they're a bad person for it? Or you don't want your children to lie because you want them to feel safe sharing their truth with you? That's really the goal of all of this.
so let's look at one or two examples of when children lie and how parents could handle it so that it is emotionally healthy, and it does develop a relationship. I think that's what parents are always
Yes.
always looking for. So let's take an example. Let's begin with young children. So here's a story. I actually share it in my book, and it's one of my favorite stories because the dad in the story took my parenting classes, and he learned so many things, and he couldn't wait to come into class that week and share the story with all of us. So simply, this is the way it was. Dad worked from home, and mom had to go out. She usually watched the two children who were, I think in this story, they were like 2 and 4. And mom had to go out and do some errands and asked dad if he would mind stopping work for about an hour and just keeping an eye on the kids. And he said, of course he would. So he was playing with them in the family room for a while, and they had all their toys in there. And he said to them, I have to go into the garage and, just go get some stuff. I'll be gone for a few minutes. Play nicely. Play nicely. Don't get into trouble while daddy's in the garage. Okay. So he went into the garage. He was tinkering around. Of course, it took him longer than he anticipated, which doesn't make him bad. Of course, mom might have gotten on his case for it because he was in there too long. But when he came back in to the family room, which was attached to the kitchen, the kids weren't in the family room. So he walked in the kitchen, and he walked into this mess. There was flour all over the kitchen cabinets, all over the shelves, and in the kids' hair. And so, of course, his initial reaction was to start yelling, what's happening here? Who did this? What's going on? So, of course, both kids are now scared because daddy's big, angry daddy. And the little one said, it was her fault. She did it, which was actually probably the truth. And the 4-year-old didn't want to tell the truth because she didn't want to get in trouble. So she blamed it on her brother and said, he made me do it. It was his fault. So, of course, now daddy's angry at both of them. And he said, this is terrible. I have to clean you up. What a mess. Mommy's going to be mad at everybody, including him. And he's really angry, and he's yelling at them, and he's saying, what were you doing? And they're both lying and blaming each other. And he's cleaning the flour out of their hair, which is an absolute mess. And he yells at them, and he says to them, you go in your rooms now, and you don't come out until you're ready to tell daddy the truth, what really happened, and I'm going to clean the rest of the kitchen. So the kids go crying into their rooms, and he doesn't care. He's angry. And now he's trying to clean up this mess in the kitchen. When he took a breath, and he started to remember all the things we talked about in the parenting class, which was you're not in your power when you're ranting and you're raving and you're not breathing, and you're just getting triggered. And so he kept breathing and thinking, I know I can handle this differently. I don't know in the moment, but I know I can handle this differently. If I keep breathing, it will come. And he's cleaning up, and he's struggling with his own anger. And then something came over him, his own inner guidance, his own wisdom. He got in touch with it, which said to him, if I keep yelling at them and getting angry with them for this is always going to be a negative experience. It's never going to turn around and be something positive. What can I do to make it positive? And the thought came over him to talk to the older one, because the little one didn't even have the language to express the truth. But to talk to the older one, who was, I think at the time she was 4 and a half, and she was pretty articulate and sophisticated little girl. So he walked into her room where she was whimpering, and he said, sweetheart, Daddy's not angry anymore. I don't want to be that angry, yelling daddy. I was angry when I first walked in the kitchen. But I want to talk to you about what happened without being angry. And I don't want you to be scared. Would you come sit on my lap in the family room on the couch? And at first she was a little tentative, like, am I going to be in trouble again? But I said, really, you're not in trouble. I just want to talk with you. And so they went into the family room. They sat on the couch. He put her on his lap. And he said, I was thinking, which is a wonderful segue into anything difficult, I was thinking that you and I need to be pals, and we need to be on the same team. And that's the language he used. We have to be on the same team. And for us to be on the same team, we need to be able to tell each other the truth without being scared of each other. And so I realized that for you to tell me the truth, I have to stop being so scary. So I don't think I'm going to be scary anymore. And I think you could tell me what really happened. You're safe. And you use those words. Safe, scary, team, pals, whatever, feels right for you. And the little girl told him, she said, I wanted to make cookies for you and for Mommy. And so I climbed up on the shelf to get the flour. That's where Mommy keeps the flour. And it fell. And it made a mess, and she started to cry because she didn't want to make a mess. In her she's still thinking she can make cookies. It doesn't matter that you tell her 20 times at that age. In her fantasy world and in the fairy tales that she sees, kids make cookies like magic.
They see mice making cookies.
Yes, and so she still hadn't crossed over into the difference between imagination and fantasy and what reality is. And he said, oh, you thought you could do it. First you just accept it. And then he said, well, that's why we keep it on the top shelf. Because the stuff up there is not for children. You cannot climb up there and get anything down. And I need to know that you hear me. You set limits and you set boundaries. But it's not with guilt and shame and fear that God's going to strike them dead or Santa's not going to bring them presents. It's because that's what's safe for you. And he said, it's okay that you tell me the truth. I'm glad you told me the truth. Now I understand what happened. I'm not mad at you anymore. In fact, the kitchen's almost clean. We'll wash your hair, you'll be okay, and it'll be over. I want you to always be able to tell me the truth. I want to be a daddy who's always going to be safe for you. Okay? We're on the same team. And she said, okay, Dad. And he said, go ahead, go back to your room and play now. I'll finish cleaning the kitchen. So there he was in the kitchen feeling like, well, look at me. I handled this really well. I'm so proud of myself. When she came back 5 minutes later and she said, Daddy? And he said, yes. And she said, remember how you told me I could always tell you the truth? And he said, yes. She said, well, could we sit on the couch? Because I want to tell you something. And he said, all he could think of was, oh my goodness, what is she going to lay on me now? Can I handle it? So they sat down and she said, you can tell me the truth. It's safe. This is what you want to teach your young children. She said, well, Daddy, remember last Christmas when we put out cookies for Santa? And Daddy said, yes. And she said, I snuck in the middle of the night and they ate one of Santa's cookies. Now just think about this. This little girl it was like 9 months after Christmas. For all this time, she's feeling guilt and remorse and bad. I mean, what's worse than eating one of Santa Claus's and the reindeer's cookies? That's pretty awful for a 4-year-old to have to hold on to and to live with. And Daddy gave her the freedom, the safety net to tell the truth. And he had to stop himself from chuckling because it was so naive and sweet. He said to her, I am so glad you told me the truth. You know, I actually think that Santa was okay with it. Santa knew the truth. And really, get so many cookies, he didn't need your cookie. But I think going forward, it will be a good idea not to eat any more Santa's cookies. What do you think? And she said, yeah. Thank you, Daddy. And she ran off and she played and she was free. She was free. She was free to be okay, not to be bad, not to have to hide her truths from the world anymore. For me, that's a wonderful way that Daddy turned things around. Okay, I want to say that Melissa was telling me that she had taken 2 of the kids that you were nannying, 4-year-olds, out to the park, and there was this, like a wishing, like a
water fountain where people threw pennies in.
Right, and you said to them...
I said to them, have you ever thrown pennies into the fountain and made a wish? And they said, no. And I said, come, we can do it. And I gave each of them a few pennies, and they threw in the penny, and I'm Spider-Man! My wish came true! And they were so excited. They were so powerful that they could make a wish. And as I was sharing this with my mom, she actually taught me that I was lying to them by telling them that when they threw their penny in, that they could make a wish and it would come true. Now, I thought I was carrying on this imagination,
this
fantasy,
tradition, throw the penny in and your wish will come true.
and teaching them that life is good and magical and that they can want things and that they will happen for them. And at this age, most of it is imagination. They want to be Spider-Man, they want to be an airplane, they want to be a fire truck. They want to be things that aren't really possible. It's all imagination.
Yeah, and so what I said to Melissa is what you could do for your young children, just tweak it a little bit and say, wouldn't it be wonderful if we could throw the penny in there, make a wish, and it would come true? Some people believe that it can happen. And some people just have fun imagining that it could happen. And we could do that if you want to. Because what you're doing is you're giving the kids the option to create their own truth.
Yes.
Create their own reality. And back to, I just want to say Santa Claus and the Tooth Fairy and all the other things that we concoct for children. Disney World and Cinderella and the snowmen who don't melt and all these fantasy things that we offer them as truths. We're really confusing them, and all you have to do to tweak it is when they say to you, is Santa Claus real? Is the Tooth Fairy real? Can you really throw your penny in the wishing well? And you could say, some people believe that. And if it feels good to believe it, you could believe it too. Mm. Do you believe it, Mommy? I feel good when I believe it. I like to believe that Santa Claus is real, or I like to imagine that I throw my penny in and make a wish that it could come true. Let's try it. And then at least you're not lying. You're telling them the truth, which is some people believe this and they believe it because it feels good. And it works for some people. It actually magically works for. And if you want to believe it, you can too. That's just a way of tweaking it. Okay. Now let's go on to another issue with lying and how we could turn it around. So this actually happened before Christmas. Because I think that's a time when we lie a lot to kids, and so maybe a lot of lies come forward. I don't know, because we're doing so much concocting and lying to them to control them and manipulate them. But actually, a few weeks, it was about 3 weeks before Christmas, and these children were already older. We're talking about maybe 5-year-olds and 7 or 8, 9-year-olds. And the older child came to the mom and said to the mom, "Mommy, did you get," the younger sister, "did you get her the iPad that she wanted for Christmas? Did you get it? Did you get it for her? Did you get it for her?" And the mom said, "I'm not going to tell you what I got your sister. You know, it's a secret." And the older daughter said, "Oh, come on, Mommy, tell me. I want to know if you got it for her. I won't tell her. I promise. I won't tell her if you tell me." Why do kids do that? Why do they do that? They're checking in. Are they really going to get? Should they get ready to be disappointed because they're not going to get what they want? Should they get excited because they are going to get what it's a trying time for everybody. Am I really going to get the things I want? And should I take myself there, or should I protect myself from disappointment? There's all kinds of reasons why kids, are doing that. Anyway, the way Mommy handled it is and there's many ways to handle it, and it's not like it's right or wrong. But Mom kind of went off because she said, "Well, if you promise not to tell your sister, I'll tell you." And the older one said, "I won't tell my sister." Now, maybe in that moment, she was telling the truth. She didn't intend to lie. The line came later. But Mom said, "We did. We got it for her. She's going to get it for Christmas." And the older sister said, "Okay, great." Now, maybe the older sister was thinking, well, if they're getting my little sister what she wants, then I'm probably getting what I want. Who knows why the older one was manipulating like that, but that's probably what was going on. And we don't know exactly what happened between the older sister and the younger sister that day, but I imagine it was something like they were playing and the older sister said, "I know a secret and I'm not going to tell you," because that's the kind of stuff kids do. Or, "I know what you're getting for Christmas, but I'm not going to tell you." These are the kind of things that go on with children. And I'm imagining something like that went on, and the little sister said, tell me, please, 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 tell me. And probably the older sister did what Mommy did, which was, "Well, if I tell you, do you promise not to tell Mommy that I told you?" Because this is the kind of stuff people do. I have a friend who recently told me something. She said, "I'm going to tell you something, but you can't tell anybody." So she set me up.
Plenty of adults do that.
Right. So she's telling me there's something that now I can't tell my husband, I can't tell anybody else, and I'm holding it. So we all do this kind of stuff. It's not like just kids do this. So that's what I'm thinking happened, that the younger sister promised she wouldn't tell anybody, and the older sister said, "Okay, well, you're going to get the iPad." Okay. So now the younger sister can't hold it in because she can't hold that kind of stuff in. And, well, the next day she goes to Mommy and says to the Mommy, "Did you get my older sister what she wants?" She names her older sister. "Did you get her what she wants for Christmas? Did you, Mommy? Did you? Now Mom's starting to feel something's not right here. She says, "Why are you asking me that question?" "No reason, nothing, because kids are not good liars, And Mom's thinking, did your sister tell you?" Now Mom's putting it together. Did your sister, now mom's angry, so already the little one's going to lie even more.
Yes.
Did your sister tell you that what you're getting? Oh, no, mommy, she didn't tell me. So now the little one is driven into lies like the kid with the strawberry. We drive them into deeper, deeper lying because now they have to protect themselves from our wrath and our anger. And mom was furious. She called the big sister down. She had the little sister. She put them on the seat. She was grilling them. She was so filled with rage and anger. And I know you understand this. You understand mommy's reaction. I understand mommy's reaction.
And it's valid.
And it's valid.
It's just not going to yield the results
well,
she wants,
that's
maybe.
the problem, is what results are we going to get?
Right.
So, mommy told me about it, and mom was really hard on them. And she got it out of them. She got the truth out of them. And then when they told her the truth and they were crying and sobbing and were sorry, she didn't accept that because she wanted to teach them a lesson. You don't lie. And you especially don't lie to your parents, especially to this mommy. And boy, she was going to teach them a lesson they were never going to forget. And she said to them, and now your punishment for lying is I'm returning the presents you're not getting them for Christmas. And of course, the kids were wailing and hysterical and begging, but she believed because of her own upbringing, which was really, really strict. You teach these kids a lesson. They're never going to lie again because the punishment is going to be so horrible. It would be like the officer dragging Melissa to jail because she lied about talking on her cell phone. He's going to teach her a lesson. She never lies to a policeman. And 30 days in jail will teach her. And
I just want to jump in and say, I learned my lesson just from getting pulled over. just for the record. That was the only time I did it.
Well, because of the concern that you just didn't want the humiliation and the aggravation.
And I knew I shouldn't have been doing it in the first place. I knew that it was wrong. And I did it because of the circumstances. A misbehavior is something's not working for me.
And it doesn't need this, that life is going now punish them so they'll really learn the lesson. And the mom told me she cried the whole way to the store as she returned the gifts because she felt so awful doing it. But she really believes that if she didn't do it, they wouldn't learn the lesson. And I asked her how Christmas was, and she said, well, it was okay. We had company, and they had other gifts to open, and they just never discussed it again. And here was my concern, was there were a lot of negative things that were being taught that never got verbalized. And the other concern I have for these kids is they're going to learn to be better liars, especially when they're in cahoots against their mommy or their parents. As they get older into the teenage years, and they know now mom can't handle the truth. And if there is something, they're going to have to team up together and do a really good job of keeping a truth from mommy that's going to set her off. And the very thing the mom wants, which is this safe, true, authentic relationship with these girls who she adores, the way she handled that, I don't think got her that. And what could she have done instead? You might be asking me.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Yeah, because this is important. I would say to sit them down and say, girl, something feels really awful for me. To get really real and authentic. Because I believe that you're not telling me the truth. And I understand why you wouldn't be telling me the truth because this all got totally out of hand.
And she maybe even could have said, I realized I shared a secret that I shouldn't have shared. It was so hard for you to keep that secret from your sister. Maybe I shouldn't have told you.
Yeah, and that's what I would have said. I would have taken responsibility for my part as the mommy. That it's not a good idea, especially when it comes to gifts and presents and this time of the year. We really have to keep them all secret because it's just too hard not to talk about it and to want to share it. And I understand how hard it was for you, and I don't really believe you set out to lie and manipulate. The bottom line is it didn't go well. And none of us really handled it well. Yeah. And there's nothing more important to me than that we can be honest with each other and that we can tell each other the truth. And the truth is, when you came to me and asked me, now that I think about it, I probably should have said to you, I don't feel comfortable. I don't feel safe telling it to you because I just think it's too much for you to carry. And if your sister asks you, it's going to be too hard for you not to tell her.
Yes.
And I think that's what happened with the two of you. And so going forward, I want to be able to tell you my truth when I can't give you what you want. And I think that would have given the mom and the girls a much better platform to move into their growing years. Because
Yes.
the next time something came up, when maybe one of, especially the older one, because she really cognitively could get this, but even the young one at 7 or 8 can understand this. So the next time something comes up, like even if it's, Mommy, can I go to the movies with my friends? Mom could say, I wish I could tell you what you want to hear. But my truth is, doesn't feel right for me. Now, maybe this is something we can talk about, or maybe this is something I can't change my mind about. But the truth of this is that we need to be honest with each other. That's the platform you want to move into as your kids go into 9, 10, tweens, and teenage years. Because if you react like this every time they tell you a minor lie, what do you think they're going to be telling you when they're tweens and teens?
Yes.
The truth? They won't feel safe telling you the truth about anything. They'll protect you from the truth, and they'll protect themselves.
I just want to jump in and make one more little point about young children and getting our teenagers to share their truth with us. When we are with a 3, 4, 5-year-old, their truth is sometimes to us silly, irrelevant. Their truth is, I'm in a spaceship. Yeah, you're in a spaceship. When we dismiss their truths from a young age, we're also teaching them that we don't honor their truth. It's not important to us. From the time that they're young, if we go into their world, we hear their truth, we validate it, the older they get, the more comfortable they are sharing it. You know, it doesn't seem like by dismissing a young child's truth that we're invalidating them, but that's where we begin setting up that they're not safe expressing what's going on inside of them. And so if you want your teenager to tell you what's going on in their life, it really starts when they're young, by honoring their truth, by hearing it, and then as they get older, not freaking out when they share our truth. Because from the time they're 5, 6, 7, 8, challenges come up in life. Things aren't always easy. And if you become that angry, scary mommy or daddy, they're gonna walk away from that experience feeling uncomfortable, unsafe. But if, as we talked about, the way this mommy with the Christmas presents could have turned it around, well, nope, everybody lied. The children still knew what happened, but they left that experience feeling okay. They didn't leave that second, the alternative experience feeling bad about themselves. Mommy can't hear me. I have to lie to her. What you want is for you as the parent and the children to leave the experience feeling okay. If you walk away from an experience feeling awful inside, you probably could have handled it in a little bit different way. And I also want to say, as a nanny, I don't always handle experiences perfectly, but when I go back to the children the next day or a day or two later, they love this. I've been thinking about something. I didn't handle that the right way. I got really upset with you. I want you to know I'm not angry. You can always go back to your child after something has happened and let them know you were thinking about it, you realized, like the daddy with the flour in the kitchen. He went in there and said, I thought about something. That's not the kind of daddy I want to be. Children love that. They love knowing that grown-ups are not infallible. They love knowing that grown-ups make mistakes. It's never too late to go to your child and say, I've been thinking about something. I realized something. I want to let you know something. They love it. They love it, and that's the way that you're going to really build trust and make your child feel like they can share things with you, and they won't be made to feel bad because of it. That's really the goal in all of this.
And another way to do this, as Melissa said, this establishing this trusting relationship where they can tell you the truth, is when you fess up to a lie.
Yes.
And I always say to parents, whenever you're trying to lay the groundwork for something, create it almost like you're the director of a movie. Don't wait for it to really happen in reality. So, maybe you, I'm at the top of my mind, I'm just trying to come up with something that you could create. But like, let's go back to, I'm going to be on the phone for a minute. You play, and then I'll come read you a story. You could come back to the child once they're 4 or older, because maybe even a sophisticated 3-year-old, but under that they don't quite get it. Where you could say, I've been thinking about something. I think I told a lie. I said to you, I'll be on the phone for a minute. A minute's a very short time. I was really on the phone for about 10 minutes. That's a long time. I didn't mean to lie to you when I said I would only be on the phone for a minute. It was a mistake kind of lie. I didn't really mean it. Are you okay with that? I'm okay. We're okay. Okay, now we can go play. In other words, what you're setting up for your child is everybody, even mommy and daddy, will tell a lie without meaning it.
Yes.
You know, or you might even start to tell a lie, again, not when you really have to, but you might say to the children, tonight for dinner, we're going to have cupcakes for dessert. I'm going to go to the store, I'm going to get cupcakes and we'll have it for dessert. And then later on you can say to the children something like, remember when I told you we're going to have cupcakes for dessert? I really didn't feel like going. I thought maybe I'd go to the store and get cupcakes for the dessert. The truth is, as I was saying it, I was thinking, I don't know that I really want to go to the store, and here I am now, I'm stuck. I told you we're going to have cupcakes, but I really was too tired to go. Is that a lie? I'm not sure. Is that a real lie? And then talk to them about it. You know, the kids might say, yeah, Mommy, that's a lie. You lied. You said you were going to do this, and you didn't do it, and now you told a lie. And then we try to get out of it. Well, that wasn't really a lie. And then we're giving them all these different levels of lies. What a great way to just have a conversation with them about what's a real lie, what's not a lie. It's like when they cheat on a game. I wasn't cheating. Yes, I really was cheating. Sometimes we force kids to lie when we say to them, say you're sorry. They're not really sorry. And we say to them, you can't go out and do that until you say you're sorry. So lie, learn to play the game of lying, and then you can go do what you want. And that happens all the time when
That's
we say,
a big one.
yeah, go say you're sorry to your sister. I'm not sorry.
Right.
Well, until you say you're sorry, okay, I'll play your stupid little game. I'll say I'm sorry. I'll lie, and then I'll go on. Just when it comes to lying, lighten up a little bit. Except that there's a lot of lying going on.
And remember, there's a reason for it.
There's always
something
a reason.
going on.
Always a reason.
And if you can play detective and figure it out, then not only are you serving yourself and your child and your relationship, but you're teaching them how to connect to their own truth and express it in a healthier way, which is ultimately our goal with them,
And
isn't it?
imagine if you told the truth and you said to this kid who annoyed his sister that he couldn't go play ball until he said he was sorry. Imagine if you said to him, you know what I just realized? I just realized that I'm encouraging you to lie. I'm sitting here thinking, I want you to tell your sister you're sorry, even if you're really not sorry, so that you can go play ball. So pretty much what I'm saying to you is, why? So you can get what you want.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I didn't realize I was doing that. I want to tell you, you want to then have a fabulous conversation with your 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 or 11 or 14-year-old. Now they're ready to talk to you.
Yes.
Once the light bulb goes off for you, what they've seen all along, now you're going to have a real conversation about why we lie and how we actually encourage each other to lie. So I hope this little video is giving you some, a new conscious understanding about what's going on with lying. I hope it's helped you to soothe yourself. We're not bad. We're not the criminals killing people and then lying about it. We're talking about a whole nother part of human interactions and human relationships. And how from the time they're young, they don't really get the difference between fantasy, imagination, fairy tales, Walt Disney movies, their own desires to make things happen and use the words. Talk about, that's pretend. You're pretending. This is real. This is really. Would you like to imagine? I wonder if. What do you think about? Help them navigate the world of fantasy and the world of reality. Rather than shaming them and guilting them and making them feel like God or Santa or the elf on the shelf is watching them and punishing them, just talk to them about what the truth is. And make yourself like that daddy. Come back. Come back from whatever your reactivity was. Say, I want to talk to you. We're a team.
And remember what the ultimate goal in all of this is to create an authentic relationship with your child where your truths are heard. You can express things that are challenging, that are not always easy to hear. Your child isn't wrong or bad for feeling something or doing something that you don't like necessarily. And you won't fall apart because they share it with you. You want to be a safe place for a child to express their inner truth.
And sometimes to be that safe place, we have to soothe ourselves.
Yes.
Because it's scary being a parent, and we worry about our children out there in the big world. And Buddha is telling us it's time to go. So we hope this was helpful. We hope you enjoyed it, and we wish you a wonderful day, a wonderful week. And when you catch yourself in a lie, love yourself. Talk to your kids about what's real, what's honest. Till next time, this is Sandy.
And I'm Melissa. Thank you for joining us.
Saying thanks for joining us. Bye for now.